Hello, I'm Caddy and I'm 24 years old. I have a 8-year-old son named Ben, and he is the light of my world. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said about his father and grandmother, because I have a terrible story to tell that still gives me shivers to this day. I never thought I would have a story like this. It's difficult for me to share, but here it goes. A few years ago, my husband and I took a trip to visit his family in Sweden. I was excited to see his mother, as I hadn't seen her since our wedding, which was about 3 years prior, but I had no idea what was in store for me. For some reason, it seemed like my mother-in-law couldn't or didn't want to visit us. I would ask why she didn't come, and she always responded with an urgent work-related emergency that prevented her from visiting. For 3 years of my son's life, he hadn't seen his paternal grandmother, and it was a concern of mine. "Mama, when will I be able to see Grandma?" "Soon, dear, soon." So, I decided that we, as a family, should just go there and visit, even though it made more sense for her to travel here since most of her family is here, scattered across southeastern Canada. However, I really wanted Ben to know who his grandmother was, so we made the trip. As soon as we arrived, we were greeted by a very somber and stern Ava. It was shocking to see that she had little to no emotion upon seeing her grandson for the first time. "Hello, Grandma. I'm Ben." "Hello, little one. I hope you had a good flight." That's it. Was she crazy? It's as if she would burst into flames at the slightest display of affection and compassion. Ben, being the innocent and pure ball of light and love that he was, became confused by the rejection he wasn't accustomed to receiving. However, being very loved and a positive boy, he still holds hope that a relationship can be formed. "Hey, Mom." "Hello, son. How are you?" "I'm fine, thank you. Let's go home. I'm freezing. I can't believe I forgot how freezing Sweden can be. You should come back here. It's better than Sao Paulo." "I don't think we can. We have so many routes there that it would simply be impossible." "But you can work remotely, right? And honestly, you shouldn't even be working. You should retire soon and rest." "Ava, why don't you move to a quieter city near Sao Paulo and be closer to us? And be closer to all that chaos, crime, and pollution?" "No, I'm perfectly fine here in my cold and fresh climate." Cold, certainly, was an understatement. We were practically freezing. I made sure to dress Ben with as many layers as I could. He had never experienced this level of coldness in his life, so I was extremely worried. But for some reason, his grandmother was obsessed with the cold. So much so that on the second day of our stay in Sweden, she said this at breakfast. "Let's take a walk, enjoy this weather. Wasn't there a forecast for a snowstorm later today?" "What snowstorm, Daddy?" "It's a cold snowstorm that blows a lot and is very scary." "Oh no." "Okay. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think we can do this, Ava. If we keep coddling this baby, he will grow up to be a coward. You have to show him the harsh nature of reality. He's only 7 years old." "I don't think that argument applies here." "Really? Are you trying to disrespect me in my own house?" No, not at all. I didn't mean to disrespect you. I'm sorry if you're offended. It's just what I think." "Okay, fine. So can we go then?" "Mom, I don't think it's a good idea." "It's to your favorite place, Jack? Remember behind the rock? Near the waterfall?" "Yeah. The last time I was there, I was probably 7 or 8. You see. How important would it be to show your son, who is exactly the same age you were so many years ago, one of your favorite places in Sweden?" "You're right. Besides, we're both Norwegian weather experts, and we'll make sure everything is fine. So please don't worry, Caddy, we can do this." "Okay, only if you're sure, because I don't know anything about it, and obviously, neither does Ben. So let's please remember to stay close." Yes, of course. Don't worry. We started our hike towards the supposed favorite spot, and I wondered how anyone could enjoy this chilly weather so much. Maybe it's because I'm from Canada, but I'd rather skip the terrible cold of this place. Regardless, I had to make sure Ben was having fun. The only reason we kept doing this is that every time she saw his face, it lit up with joy and wonder at what he was witnessing. However, I started feeling tired and noticed that Ben was also exhausted, but he didn't want to complain because he wanted to spend as much time as possible with his grandmother. Along the way, we passed by an old cabin with puffs of smoke coming out of it. Look, a cabin. Yes, dear, it's a cabin. Guys, is it okay if we stop and rest for a while? Maybe the people in the cabin would be willing to shelter us for some time. After all, we're in northern Sweden. You Norwegians are super cool about that. That's not funny, and actually, it's a bit derogatory to insinuate that we are all kind like that. Oh, I'm sorry. I was making a joke. I didn't realize it was in poor taste. Well, it seems like you don't know that many things you do are in poor taste. How rude. We continued along the path, growing more tired with each step. I carried Ben, and his added weight wasn't helping me. In my alert state from a distance, I could see Jack and Ava moving quickly. I called out to them, telling them to slow down. Come on, you slowpokes. I'm 71 years old, and I'm better than both of you. Hurry up. As I mentioned before, we don't do this often. Just hurry up, you'll miss the best part. What? I can't hear you. Please slow down. At this point, Jack and Ava seemed to have disappeared. The snow was getting worse, and it felt like the mentioned snowstorm was about to hit us. Everything around us was just white. Ben started crying, and I was becoming extremely worried. The cold wind howled through the seemingly empty forest, throwing snow into my eyes and stinging. Skin burning. I held my son tightly against my chest, trying to protect him from the biting cold as we walked through knee-deep snow. Deep snow, searching for any sign of help. Hours had passed since Jack and Ava left us stranded in the middle of nowhere, miles away from the nearest town or shelter. She had taken my husband with her, leaving me and my son to fend for ourselves in the frozen wilderness. I was furious with her and my husband, but more than that, I was terrified for my son's safety. Mommy, it's so cold. I want to go home. I know, my love. I'm so sorry about all of this. I promise you I'll find help for us, okay? Don't worry one bit. As we stumbled through the snowdrifts, I could feel my body growing weaker with every passing minute. I knew we couldn't survive out here much longer, and finding a safe place was paramount. The priority. But just when I thought all hope was lost, a faint light appeared in the distance. We stumbled toward it, half blind and half frozen, until we finally reached the small cabin from before. Thank God! With its wisps of smoke still swirling in the strong wind, nestled in a clearing with what little strength I had left, I pounded on the door as hard as I could and then collapsed against it. Now, oh Stuart, get some boiling water and blankets right away. A kind elderly couple welcomed us. We bathed in the water they provided and huddled near the fire to warm ourselves. With a pair of clean clothes, and they gave us hot soup and blankets to wrap ourselves in. It's over. How could they? How could they do that? I hope they freeze out there. Are there more people out there? We have to go get them. No, don't worry. Mother-in-law and husband, they left us out there to freeze. You're lying. Why would they do such a horrible thing? I knew Ava was always like this, but Jack? There's no way he would do this to us. Wait a second, Ava. That name sounds familiar. Is she the lady with a slender body, tightly pursed lips, and serious all the time? Does she wear green glasses? The same. How do you know her? She usually hikes around these parts, but it's such a strange thing to do during this period when snowstorms are abundant. Actually, I've never seen her around here this time of year. How peculiar. Now, dear, please tell us how you know her. I'm your daughter-in-law. We came to visit her from Canada because she hadn't seen her grandson, Ben, since he was born. I really wanted them to bond and get to know each other, but she seemed disinterested even after we arrived here. Ben was snuggled with me, sleeping in my arms, with a smile on his face. Thank God he was safe. How his little body survived all of this still remains a wonder to me to this day. But the more I looked at him, the more frustrated I became with his father and his grandmother, those two useless individuals. Visit? This baby is beautiful. It brings tears to our eyes, knowing that this happened. You see, we don't have children. We couldn't have children, so we decided to come here and live on top of the mountains. It's the life we always desired, but we just can't fill the gaps that are missing in our hearts. So, hearing that someone privileged enough to have such a beautiful grandson. That's something we can't forgive. You know, I always had a strange feeling about Ava. I've told you that before, Stuart, that woman is not right in the head. I called out to them, telling them to wait for us, but they kept going. They could hear me, but they were choosing not to listen. Why would they do that? Sometimes, we don't know why people do the bad things they do. All we can do is do our best. We spent the rest of the night talking, and as angry as I still was, an overwhelming sense of relief washed over me because I knew Ben and I were safe. Morning came, and it seemed that the snowstorm had subsided. I checked various websites to find the weather report stating that it was now safe to navigate through the mountain and into town. I exchanged contact information with William and Christina, thanking them for all the love and care they showed us. No need to thank us. We just did the right thing. Anyone with half a heart would have done the same. Please let me escort you back to your home. Stuart accompanied us to the residence, and there we found Jack and Ava sitting comfortably on the front porch as if Ben and I weren't at death's door. What the hell is wrong with you? How could you leave us there? I was slowing down, and we wanted to see the frozen waterfall. Are you serious? Ben could have died last night. Don't you care about that, Jack? To be fair, you could have stayed home if you weren't really up for this adventure. I swear to God, at that moment, my vision went black. I was ready to attack, kick, scream, and yell for the whole world to hear how horrible and sick these people were. They not only left us out there but also seemed to have no remorse for what they did. It was almost as if they were trying to kill us. Before I could unleash a series of actions and words that couldn't be taken back, Stuart held me, telling me to compose myself because Ben was still in the car with Christina. Seeing all of this unfold, it took me a moment to calm down, but even when I did, I was still aggressive. You left us there. We could have died, Jack. Don't you care about that? Don't you care that your mother tried to kill us? Don't be dramatic, Caddy. She wasn't trying to do that. Look, the reason we didn't come back for you is that we knew you would find help and shelter. I mean, you pointed out that cabin, right? Looks like you got the help. You needed it. Not thanks to you or your mother. I can't believe what I'm hearing right now. How can you be so cold and insensitive to your wife? I'm considering coming over there and knocking you out. Try it, you old man. I dare you. That's enough. Listen, Caddy, I'm sorry you couldn't handle a little cold, but I swear there was no ill intent on my part. Oh, really? Why the hell would you venture on a trail during this time of year? We never see you around during this time, so why now? Why now when you have a grandson who just wanted to connect with you? One could argue that this level of severe negligence was intentional. Ava, no way an experienced tracker like you would travel during this time. Only experts can mess with the weather. But novices like Caddy and a child like Ben. That seemed to dissolve Ava's cold, hard exterior as she appeared momentarily choked up before returning to her Wicked Witch of the North facade. I don't know what you're trying to insinuate, but if you're looking for a fight, I can assure you that you'll lose. Forget it, I'm a wealthy and influential woman. I have access to the best of the best. Let's see how your little argument plays out in court, old man. Both of you are sick, and I never want to see you again. I hope you rot in hell. You know what, Caddy? I don't care anymore. I don't care about keeping this a secret from you and everyone else, so let me make it clear for everyone to hear. I don't care about you and that baby. Honestly, I wish you both had died yesterday. At least that way, you'd stop bothering me. Do I look like I care? I made a move towards her as if my body had a mind of its own. I approached her and slapped her. I continued to hit and kick as much as I could before being pulled off her by Jack and Stuart. Caddy, how dare you? How dare I? How dare you sit there and defend that witch? She deserved it. You. I'm going to sue you. How dare you lay your hands on me? She obviously didn't mean that. Look, it seems tensions are high right now. Why don't we all take a deep breath? Let's go inside and resolve this. You're a weak and pathetic man, and I hope you spend the rest of your life fixing what you did to your son. Before Jack could respond, I spat in his face before walking inside, grabbing Ben and his belongings, and putting them in the car with Christina and Ben. Mommy, I'm scared. What's happening? Why did you fight with Grandma? Sweetheart, I'm sorry you had to see that. Things are very complicated here, and I don't want to lie to you, but I'm afraid you're a little too young to understand right now. But for now, I'm sorry to say it seems like Grandma and Daddy don't want us here. We can't stay here because Daddy and Grandma aren't very nice people, and I don't want you around people who aren't nice. But Mrs. Christina is a good person, isn't she? Yes, I love Christina and Stuart. Can they be my grandparents? Oh, bless your heart, my sweet child. You're going to make me cry. Of course, I can be your grandmother. I'll always be your friend. And I promise to take care of you if you need me. Stuart got into the car and took us to a hotel where we had some time to rest and recover. But unfortunately, it was all a bit too much to handle. I feared greatly for Ben's and my future because it meant divorce just because of how powerful and influential Jack and Ava were. I was scared that they would. Ben. I decided to talk to Stuart and Christina about this as soon as Ben was asleep. What am I going to do? I'll end up in jail. Nonsense. That crazy woman won't press charges. But what if she does? She won't because we have evidence of her conspiracy to commit murder. How? We always came prepared, dear. We secretly recorded the entire argument. Now you can take this recording with you and use it against your husband and mother-in-law in court. I can't believe it. You're disguised angels. Don't worry about all of this. Just listen to the audio recording. We sat down and listened, and sure enough, all the chaos was recorded, including the part where I physically attacked her. Now I'll be caught for physical assault. Oh God, why did I do that? Now listen here, my daughter. You did what any loving mother would have done. You're a mama bear and simply protected your child. Honestly, I wish Stuart and Jack hadn't stopped. I knew you would have taught her a good lesson. But the problem is, if you had beaten her properly, her scars and wounds could have healed. You have to hit her where it hurts the most, her money. You have to sue her for everything she has, divorce that man, and run away with all that money. But what about the recording? You could clearly hear me hitting her. What are you talking about? I didn't hear anything about you fighting anyone, and certainly didn't hear anyone threatening to take you to court. I was so grateful for these people. I swear they were indeed my guardian angels. The next day, we headed back home. I ignored calls and messages from Jack and Ava the whole time. I guess they were trying to do some damage control. I don't know why it took them so long to realize what they had done was wrong, but I didn't care. It was too late for apologies, and let me explain. When I got home, I started building my case against my mother-in-law and Jack. I got the best lawyer I could afford with the money I had and presented this case. Fortunately, even though it took time, I managed to win the lawsuit against her. She paid me a settlement of 1 million reis, and I was shocked to have gotten so much money. It didn't help that she was sending me death threats while we were fighting this battle. As for Jack, we obviously got divorced, and due to his role in gross negligence, he also had to pay me some money on top of the already planned alimony. Well, I was able to start my life over. I opened a daycare near my house and slowly started expanding my business. I named it Casa Christina Stewart. I also managed to take Christina and Stuart to Canada to celebrate once all the agreements were finalized. Here's to us. I hope we thrive. Grandma and Grandpa, I love you both. We love you, my child. Not only did I get rid of toxic cancer, but also of my ex-mother-in-law and ex-husband. I gained a lot of money and love from the right sources. Christina and Stuart are even considering the idea of moving to Canada. They've been in Sweden their whole lives. Maybe they needed a little bit of sun. Why not change things up? Regardless, I am eternally grateful for this new chapter in my life. So, did you like it? Let us know what you think about this wonderful story and where you're watching from. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to not miss any stories. See you soon.